Morning. Morning.
It's my wedding day!
Better when you get lost.
You're not going to be cheeky and try and walk into my garden again now, are you?
If that's your garden, you can get the lawnmower out. Makes it nice.
It looks perfectly nice. Get a lawnmower out. Like it's on grass.
Kill the grass.
He wants to stick my head in the grass. I'm not having a good day. I'm saying the garden would look nice. You have a good time going around? We have a good time going around.
So why are you actually here today?
Why?
Yeah.
It's just part of the ongoing sort of policing of this protest. Obviously, it's to ensure that
This protest doesn't need, this is a peaceful protest, we don't need policing.
as long as it's peaceful, then there's no problems, and as long as it's lawful, there's no problems.
It's lawful. Of course it's lawful.
Yeah, yeah. So it's lawful as long as you're not obstructing the highway, obviously, or
What?
things
Not
like that.
once obstructed the highway,
That's
and
right.
we've been thrown on the floor for trying to slow walk vehicles.
Yeah.
There's no law against that. That's
Well, there
our
is.
right
No,
to
there's not.
protest.
It's slow walking is
Slow
just-
walking is obstructing.
No, that's
people's-
peaceful. It's peaceful protest under international law.
So,
Why is the judge throwing it out then? When you arrest us for it?
Every
So-
time.
Because what we're doing is lawful. Because what we are doing is lawful, and what you're doing is unlawful, and you're acting outside of your duty, and you know it.
so no. Well, at the end of the day, I haven't arrested one.
Oh no, you haven't.
But at the end
But
of
you
the
and
day-
your colleagues,
Yeah.
you and your colleagues have arrested people. And
Yeah.
you and your colleagues have assaulted peaceful people at this peaceful protest.
So at the end of the day, if you are doing a slow walk, then that is an obstruction of the highway. Or it
No,
can
it's
be.
not.
It can
No,
be,
it's
depending
not.
on the circumstances.
Speed limit to how fast
So-
you can walk down the road.
Well, if you're
It's not a law
obstructing
that
people,
specifies how fast you've got to cross the road.
If people
Oh, no,
can,
no.
if people can pass and repass, if they could, as pedestrians,
but
we as pedestrians have the right of way to walk on a highway.
if you actually just
In
stop
law.
and think for a moment, and if you've got, say, a group of people on their hands and knees in the middle of the A180 or the M1 or something like that, then that would impede.
But
lots of
What
we're,
about
we're not on our hands and
So no,
knees.
I'm
We're
just
slow
saying
walking.
if
We're
you took it
walking.
that
We're on
No,
our feet.
No, exactly.
And we're walking. There's no legal speed limit.
And said that
So
you had
walking.
a large group of people walking at sort of half, then that would be.
No, it wouldn't be. No, it wouldn't be. No, it wouldn't be. That's why judges keep throwing it out.
I could tell you.
I was
if you
at
did
Barton
that,
Moss,
you'd
and I was
get arrested.
arrested for that, and I was found not guilty for that because I haven't committed a crime for doing that.
So,
And your arrest, what? Greater Manchester Police arrest there,
Yeah.
and Scumbersides Police at West Newton, when you arrested me for slow walking, when I was found not guilty for it,
Right.
was unlawful because I was found not guilty, and your arrest was unlawful. What I was doing was lawful.
right. Well, obviously the courts agreed with you on that one.
Of course they did, because that's how the law stands in black and white. That's what we keep telling you, like every single
However,
day.
the law, a different court might take a different view depending on different circumstances.
Well,
So, well, depending on
not in my experiences. I was at Barton Moss where there was 140 odd arrests for obstruction of the highway. Do you know how many guilties you got out of them 148 arrests? One, and that person represented himself and didn't appeal.
What if you're in a car doing 5 miles an hour because someone's in the back who's
One out of
there?
148
Would you then
arrests.
arrest us
Sorry,
for
if somebody
obstructing
was
the
doing what?
highway? If we was in a car doing about 2-3 miles an hour because someone's at themselves in the back and we don't want to go too far, would you arrest us for obstructing the highway? How's that different to a slow walk?
Well, potentially you could be arrested for that.
No,
But
you're not committing a crime.
It depends totally on the circumstances.
You
It
can,
depends totally on the circumstances and the context.
Potentially arrested for anything depending on the circumstances.
but found not guilty in court because they arrest you for what they feel like at the time, not knowing the bloody law, do you? You don't know the bloody law.
So-
Do your job.
Well, I'm just trying to explain to you. If you,
No, I'm trying to explain to you. You don't know the
Well, you've got
law,
your own view
and we
on it.
do know the law,
Yeah.
and we're not committing any crime, and everything we're doing is lawful, and that's how the judges see it. That's how the courts see it, and you are acting wrongfully and unlawfully in assaulting us.
Well, if you obstruct the highway, then you and anybody else is liable.
Nobody is obstructing the highway.
And-
Yeah, pushed when there's nothing
in
to
the way,
obstruct.
shoving us about. They're then obstructing the highway themselves.
And we're getting
How's
pushed
that any
about
different?
when there's nothing
It's
to obstruct.
not just a matter of obstructing it, but the consequences of obstructing it as well. And quite simply,
There are no consequences. The judges deem your arrest to be unlawful.
Right. Well, they've obviously taken that view in those circumstances.
In law, yeah.
Yeah.
The judges didn't know the law, and you don't know the law. That's what I'm saying to you. They're what?
What was on your side? Like you say, we'd have all been arrested instead of...
And we would have been found guilty. And we would have been found guilty. The fact that you are assaulting us instead of arresting us is because you know damn well we'll be found not guilty. You know damn well.
No, it's
Well, why are you not making arrests then?
The only reason you're...
Why are you assaulting us instead of making arrests so we can be found not guilty?
Talk to all of you at the same time. Sorry.
The only reason your colleagues get out of that plan is to run over here and push us off the road.
Even when there's nothing to obstruct.
But if this is part of the highway, and if you're obstructing
But
it,
there's nothing to obstruct and we're still getting pushed out of the way.
but if you are obstructing this part
But when
of the
there's
roadway,
nothing, you're not saying, you're not listening.
You're not obstructing
When there's
it,
nothing to obstruct.
Hold it 1 second. At the moment, it could be argued that we are preventing.
It could be
there's
argued,
nothing going through at the
But we
moment.
would be found not guilty.
I heard
Not guilty every single time.
Although we are blocking the highway,
There was
we're not
three
causing
police, there was
obstruction.
3 coppers stood at that fence. The security said there's no cars coming for 10-15 minutes. Yeah, I attempted to cross the road and I got pushed back multiple times. And he said
He was
"It's coming
assaulted.
for 10 or 15 minutes. What am I obstructing?
Well, you're
Right.
not.
Exactly. So,
So-
why are we getting pushed back?
Right now, at
You're
this
not.
moment...
I was.
I'm not pushing you.
I
At
was.
The
No, I
moment,
meant when your colleagues get out of the
although
van.
you could be blocking the highway, you're not causing an obstruction.
But
to
last
anybody.
night, I'm on about
That's
last night.
the difference.
I'm
We
on about
wasn't
last
Well,
night.
I can't
obstructing
comment
anybody
because I
last
wasn't
night.
here.
But it keeps
my
happening
view
over
is
and
Under
over.
that circumstances.
You were causing an obstruction to a visitor that was trying to leave yesterday.
My view is very much that you can block the highway, but which isn't an offence unless you're actually causing an obstruction.
Yeah, that's how we
So,
understand it
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, so we're in agreement on that.
So right now, are we obstructing the highway?
Right, we are blocking this part of the
But
highway
would
by
it
standing
count
here.
Well, then, Constable, you're under arrest.
So,
Could
I'm not joking.
at this moment in time.
It's a citizen's arrest.
at the moment, blocking this part of the highway because we're stood on it and we're
But
talking.
are we breaking the law right now?
Right, we are not obstructing anybody. So
Right,
we are
so
not causing an
this,
obstruction.
this is how we were stood the other night when they come running over and
Yeah.
threw us all to the floor right there.
Well, I'm not
How
going
are
to comment
they
on that
within
because
their
I
rights
wasn't here.
doing that?
I'm not going to comment on
No,
that because
but-
I wasn't here.
No, but
what-
in them circumstances, as I've laid them out,
If they're breaking
Yeah.
the law, you're supposed
well,
to
if
sort that out.
they're breaking the law, then that's something you'd be able to take up with your solicitors.
public servant, you should be
Yeah.
going
You-
making arrests. You should be getting the bank coppers
You,
and locking
you,
them
you
up.
should be arresting the coppers that are assaulting these peaceful people
no
and
doubt-
acting inside the law as per the judge's
No
jurisdiction.
doubt you'll have it on video and you'll be able to speak.
Of
to
course
your
we have it on
solicitors
video.
about it. But
Oh, don't worry, we will. And you will be held
I'm
accountable.
just
You should be able to
explaining the
report
law.
it to you.
You will be held
As
accountable.
as I interpret it, and different people will interpret it differently.
So you can interpret the law in different ways. Is
Different people giving
Right.
different policemen.
that what you're saying?
Well, different police officers may well interpret the same bit of legislation differently in the same
Do
way.
you not all take
different-
the same oath?
So they can twist it and bend it to
No,
suit
no,
all
I'm
themselves.
not saying that. You can just
That
take a
is-
slightly
that is
different.
basically what
You
you're
might
saying.
take a slightly different view on it in the same way that
No, no,
different
no, no.
people
You're not all
court-
talking
Because
the
this,
same
just
laws.
listen.
You're basically saying
different
they can twist
courts
and
might
bend the
take-
law to suit
Right,
themselves.
listen.
That's what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, it
I'm
is, that's
saying
what
that
you
a
just said.
different court can make a different judgment on the same circumstances, and that's what happens when
So
you
you
go
say
to
Hey,
the law
well,
is
whatever,
completely
whatever
Just
court
listen,
we end up in, we get
because
found not guilty on your
ultimately-
unlawful arrests.
one court then a different court might appeal that and might give a different view. So different people do have different views on the same bit of legislation.
Yeah, so they can twist and bend it to suit themselves.
Well,
So-
if you're saying that that's what an appeal court is, then I'm saying you're wrong.
So you're saying that the laws are open to interpretation?
Absolutely.
So all the crimes I've ever committed could be interpreted
No.
not to be crimes?
So basically the law's
Do you
not
understand
black
what
and
I'm
white,
saying?
it's all a
In
grey
as much
area.
that some
There is no
people take-
illegal, there's no legal.
Just make it up as you go along.
Big mix.
No, that's
of
not
it.
true.
Scales of
That's not true
justice
at all.
seem very tilted
That's
to
not
me.
true. All I'm saying to you is that different people can take a different view in the same way that a different court
So-
can take a different view.
So
in
surely the
same
law
way-
should take one stance and one
You
view.
just said that
The law should
The law is in
represent
black and
one
white,
stance.
and that's why we keep getting found not guilty, because the judges know the law and you don't.
Right. But different courts take a different view on the same circumstances. That's why we've got an appeal court.
I don't know who she be.
So it's
So you're just hoping you're going to find a court that's going to find someone guilty, because it hasn't happened yet.
no, I'm not saying that. Well, you've actually just said that somebody was found guilty.
Oh, what, 1 out of about
Yeah,
50?
They're representing
However,
themselves.
however,
They're
that's-
representing
that's-
themselves.
yeah.
And he didn't appeal. Do you know what? It wasn't even a highway. It wasn't even a highway.
Right. Right. Well,
And West Newton was. I was
Again-
arrested there for slow walking,
Yeah.
right? And I was within my right to do so. I was found not
But
guilty.
slow
Moreover,
walk-
the judge said that your police force, Humberside, Blunderside police force, is ill-prepared for peaceful protest and ill-trained. Right? And this is what I'm talking about. When you guys come out here shoving us, you don't know the law, and you need to know the law.
Right.
You need.
Okay, let me just explain.
Why don't you take it up with your solicitors?
Right, we are
Why don't you take it up with your solicitors? You're the ones breaking the law.
Right.
You're the ones breaking the law.
Well, if you think that, then you need to
That's-
take it with your solicitor. So,
I'm
yeah.
taking it up with the police sergeant right now. How you lot keep breaking the law, and you're ignoring my complaint.
However, if you want to make a
However,
complaint,
I am
just
making a
listen.
complaint to a police
Against-
sergeant right now about.
You should take notes.
Well, I'm not in a
Take
position
that
to
back
deal
station.
with that. That's not my role. Okay. If you want to make a complaint, then write in and make a complaint.
I'm
Or do
talking
it through
to a
your
police
solicitor.
constable right now, police sergeant of that.
Yeah, but we're in a position where I wasn't here, so I'm not going to comment on that.
Well, you've got video footage of it.
I haven't.
Well, you'd be able to take note in a minute when your boys come out and push us out of the way and assault us.
But if the officers,
Rugby tackle us
listen,
and
if the
pressure
officers
point
have
us.
acted wrongly, then there's a proper complaints process that you can go through. You know,
Well,
that's the reality.
How about
Yeah, but
this?
you know they're acting wrong.
Did I ask you about the
And you know
video
they're acting
footage?
unlawful.
Somebody, I think it was Mark, was going to bring me a link to apply for the video footages that was taken.
I've got no idea what the process is like.
Right, okay.
Just generally.
Again, that's something you should know. Off by heart, you should know how to give us the information we need about what you're doing. You should know how we can get the footage that the police are recording as a police officer. That's part of your
well-
job description. You should know that.
Right. Well, I can tell you can write in to the chief constable and ask for it. However,
Then you do know how to go about it.
right, you can ask for it. However, I'm not saying you're going to get it.
Well, that's unlawful. That's
Why-
You're
why-
saying
unlawful.
you just basically.
Well,
that is
you're,
completely unlawful.
you're basically admitting
I
how
have the
corrupt you
right-
lot
No,
are.
no, no,
I
no.
have
basically
the
admitting
right
how
to
corrupt-
footage with me.
I'm saying that
Blunderside
if
police
you
force
want
is.
some footage, then you can write in and ask for it. It's as
And you
simple
have
as that.
no right
Taking
to
a deep
deny
hole.
me
I'm
footage
not.
of
I'm
me.
just saying that if you want some footage, then you can write and ask for it. But I'm not saying you're going to get it. It's as
Which
simple
is
as that.
unlawful.
Why is it
To
unlawful?
deny
We have
us
to get
footage
it.
of ourselves. That's
We
our
have to.
footage.
No. Well, when
Just
just
record
record it yourself.
Listen, if a law, if a crime has been alleged, it is your duty to investigate that. Right? And we're
No,
telling you that you lot, that your boys in there,
Right, so
in
if
that wagon there, are assaulting us. It is your duty.
If I run up and say
To do something about it, investigate it.
If
you
you're
report with the
right,
fucking
there's a proper
office.
because there's a proper complaints procedure to go through. If you want to make a complaint
We're
against
making
the
a
police.
complaint to you.
Yeah, and I'm saying to you,
And you're not writing nothing down.
you
you're
are
doing
absolutely
nothing
correct
about it.
on
You
that.
just ignore it.
Because
That
there's
was
a
for you,
proper
Carl.
complaints procedure to go through. It's as simple as that.
I'm complaining to you.
Yeah.
And that's part of
However,
your job.
you're not listening to me.
It's part of your
That's
job.
not my job.
You have a
My-
duty to
my-
protect
listen,
you.
My job is not to deal with.
Your job is to facilitate this by the look of it, and that isn't really your job. That's what you're here, and that's what you're doing right now. But that isn't your job. Your job is to is to keep the peace, not to work for corporations. It's to keep
we
the
don't work
peace.
for corporations. We're
You
here
are
to
facilitating them, and you're not
facilitate
facilitating
them
peaceful protest, and you're not
to
facilitating
work
peaceful
and
protest
to-
as the
No,
law
no,
stands
it's
in black
just-
and white.
It's
That's
just
why you
said
say
it.
every time-
It's just
every
admitted
time-
it. They're here
And-
to facilitate them to work.
and you to protest.
But you're not
So
allowed
why
to.
are
Well,
we
you're not
getting
allowing us
thrown
to
on the
protest.
road?
Yeah, exactly.
I am letting you.
No, why are we getting thrown on the verges and stuff?
Right. I've explained to you. I wasn't here. I
It
can
doesn't
see
matter.
that.
It's
It
you as
doesn't
a
matter whether
collective.
you were here.
You're a
There's a
collective
procedure.
force.
So
Any shift change. Any shift change, it's going to happen.
what's
Or when there's a lorry coming, those from the road will come.
yeah?
Throw us
But-
off straight away.
But that's because you'd be blocking the highway in as
Would
much.
be
Just one
blocking.
second. You'd be obstructing the highway if there's vehicles
Not if
coming
we're
in.
There is no vehicles coming in and out
Not
when
if
we're
we're
stood
walking.
there. We're thrown to
If
the
we're
ground
walking,
before
it
any
doesn't-
vehicles
the
are
section
anywhere
doesn't
near
matter.
us.
Also, peaceful protest has to be
There's
proportionate.
no law on how fast I can
Peaceful
cross the road.
protest has to be proportionate, and a judge has said that. In
It's
my
got
case
to be
specifically at
context.
West Newton, when I was found not guilty for slow walking, a peaceful protest has to be proportionate, right? And a slow
I
walk
agree with that.
is proportionate.
Right. It's a matter of how long you do it for and the circumstances in which you do it. But we're not going to facilitate any slow
There's no law
walk.
stating how fast I have to walk down a road.
No, but you've got to.
We'd
appreciate
like to
that
slow walk
likewise, if you start
to
sort of
the
walking
railway
down
track.
the middle of the road here, then you'd be impeding people going along the
No, because I've
highway.
got right away.
Say again?
He's got the legal right of way. We've explained
You
this to you.
However, if you then start impeding people,
But I'm not impeding, I'm crossing the
How
road.
does that
Right.
work?
right,
You've got right away or you haven't.
Yeah.
you might have the right of way to be on the road, but if you start impeding people, then you are causing an obstruction of the highway.
Shall we get you? Shall we get?
So, no, I'm not.
Shall we get you a little lollipop and you can help us cross this road?
How can you impede people if it's your right of way? Surely they can only impede you if it's your right of way. By what you're saying, we do not have right of way.
I've already explained this to you. That,
We haven't got the right to walk on the road.
no. What I'm saying is, you've got the right to be on the road. You've got the right to be on the road.
Come on, get out of this one.
You've got the right to be on the road, but when you start obstructing people's free passage on the highway, then you commit the offence.
I know, but you keep saying
Not
this,
when
but
it's my
nobody's-
right of way,
nobody's
I
said
don't.
anything about impeding anyone. It's like you've got
Yeah.
a suspicion
So-
that we're going to do that, so you're going to keep us up here. Never mind slow walks.
Within our human rights, it says peaceful protest is allowed a certain amount of disruption.
Right.
That is international law,
Right. You can't.
as it stands in black and white.
You can't.
And that is
cause
the law.
obstruction of the highway. That's what the law says.
Well, it's slow walking. Slow walking is a certain amount of disruption proportionate to peaceful protest. As the law stands in black and white. This is why we keep getting found not guilty, Constable.
Okay, I've heard what you said, and we're going to
You're
have to agree to
ignoring what I'm
disagree.
saying.
Because if you start obstructing the highway, then you're likely to get either.
We're not
moved
talking
out
about
the way.
obstructing the highway. We're talking about slow walking on the road,
Yeah.
where we have, as the law stands, as the law stands in black and white, we have the right of way as pedestrians. In black and white.
Right.
You keep having to repeat
But I keep
myself.
explaining to you, and I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying.
An obstruction would be static. An obstruction would be
No,
static.
it doesn't have to be. An obstruction can be a slow walk.
Not in law.
Yes, it can.
No. Why are we being found not guilty then?
So-
Why are we being? Have you been to
because-
one of these trials? You
Right.
need to go to one of these trials. You need to speak to your to a legal team that knows what it's doing, because the CPS haven't got a clue what they're doing, and we keep showing them up. We keep showing you lot up, and you keep digging your own bloody graves. You commit your
Can I
own
just explain? I
your
haven't-
own
I haven't been
goals
to
with
court.
violence here. You commit your own goals with arresting us. What you should be doing is facilitating a peaceful protest to allow a certain amount of disruption, proportionate to what we're doing here. We're out in this ditch 24 hours a day,
I know you are.
and you don't want us to get off the ditch when something's coming to poison us. Are you having a fucking giraffe?
So,
We
Anyway,
are
I've
getting in
explained
this
the
road,
situation to
and we
you.
are going to have a protest every single day. And you're going to commit your own goals coming here being violent with us, or you're going to commit your own goals in arresting us when we're found not guilty.
What we're saying is that if we commit an obstruction, then we commit an obstruction. We never asked that. We never said anything about committing an obstruction. And it's got nothing to do with us walking on the road. I mean, up until now, I'm saying. I mean, you can't use that as an example because we're not going to. You suspect that we're going to do it. But you kind of suspect that we're going to land there out of planes or something, the way that you turn up and kick us off the road.
but I've explained to you, if you do obstruct the highway, then you will be liable to arrest. It's as simple as that.
Arrest us, we'll be found not
That's
guilty,
not-
and we'll be back the next day, and the next day, and the next day, because we're not bloody scared of you.
You're not explaining the law, really.
Well,
You're explaining your usage of the law at the moment.
Wrongly arresting everyone.
yeah. I haven't arrested anyone, so you can't.
As a
people-
collective.
Right. Well, I'm not going to comment on
From
other
Blanderside,
people, other
please.
officers, because it's all, as I've explained, in context. What's actually happening at the time. Lots of factors involved in obviously causing obstruction to other road users.
What when there's nothing there?
So if there's nothing there, then there's no obstruction.
So why am I still getting pushed?
So, well, I wouldn't, and
But your colleagues are.
Yeah. So
well,
go and sort
Together,
them.
yeah.
Do
in
your job and
unison,
go and
yeah.
sort them.
I can certainly feed that back.
Yeah, you need to. It's a crime.
Yeah. Well,
You need to investigate it properly,
If that happens again tonight, we'll come and see you again.
and you'll do nothing about it again, will you?
well,
Because you're all bloody corrupt.
okay. Well, you've got your own view,
Yes, I have,
and obviously,
and I'm maintaining that
you
view.
know, and obviously, there's nothing that I'm going to say that's going to change your view on that. So, we're not really getting very far.
Right. So
what I'm
if
saying to
you
you,
come here to facilitate them in their vehicle movements, or you just come here for a chat? Because I think we're done for a chat, aren't we?
I think we are. So no, that's fine. That's fine.
Are you off here?
So I actually just came over to ask you if everything was okay.
Get out of my garden.
Genuinely.
Get out of my garden. I'm not joking, get out of my garden.
I'm not
We got a wedding here today.
Have you really?
We really have.
You as a force are very two-faced. As a force, you're very two-faced. One minute you come to see if we're okay, the next minute you're pushing us out of the roads.
Right. Okay.
And getting violent and
Nothing says I'm
Right.
here for your
Have I actually
safety
shoved
more than a rugby tackle, does it?
And likewise,
That's why I said you as a force. You as a force are very two-faced.
I can't account for other officers' actions.
Of course you can.
In the same way.
You should investigate their actions.
Right.
As a police
there's a
constable.
proper procedure for doing that.
What?
So
Go and get on it.
that's
As a public servant,
Right.
I'm a member of the public. I'm reporting a crime. Go through that process of grassing your mates up.
right. If any of my officers that were working with me were acting improperly, then I will deal with that. Okay. That is my job when I'm supervising other officers. However, it's not my job to comment or to take a view on other officers when I haven't been present. I can't do that. It's as simple as that. There's a proper procedure. So,
I'm pretty sure your ETs were there.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and likewise, there's a proper procedure you can go through to make a complaint about the conduct of other officers. And if you're not happy, then you should do that.
How?
Okay, you can ask to speak to the duty inspector, or you can write into the duty inspector at a police station, at any police station.
Is that
because-
the normal way to report a crime? Is it?
right?
If I was burgled,
Right,
if I
no,
was assaulted
just-
by a
right.
thug outside a pub,
Right,
if a thug assaulted
just
me outside a pub,
Just listen.
would I have to write to the chief inspector?
Right. If you wanted to make a complaint against police action,
But we don't want to make a complaint, we want to report a crime.
right? But the complaint is that
No, it's
you've
not a
been
complaint,
assaulted.
it's a crime.
Right.
It's-
By
they call it
police
the same
officers on
thing.
duty, it's the same procedure. You need to either call in at the police station.
Are you
and
telling me
speak-
a police officer has never investigated another police officer?
Yes, we do that, but there are.
Right, go and do it then.
There is
Go and do it.
There is a proper procedure for doing it.
Well, I'm asking you to go and investigate it.
Right.
You personally.
Right. That's not my role.
It's
Okay.
not your role. What your role is to
Ju-
come here and bloody
right.
kick us out the road, isn't it?
Next time I get pushed out the road and assaulted,
Your
I'm
role
going to call
is not
999.
to investigate crime, is it?
Right. And the response you get is that there's police officers already here dealing with
Doesn't
it.
matter.
Right.
There isn't no one
So-
dealing with it, that's the problem.
Well,
So I'm going to call 999 because I'm getting assaulted.
well, you're in a position where when there's police officers, if you feel police officers are acting improperly, there is a proper complaints procedure.
Yeah, but I don't want to complain, I want to report a crime. So I'm going to call
So-
999. It's that simple.
Well, if you will be simply told that there's police officers dealing with it, so there's no point.
But
in
there isn't
doing it.
anyone dealing with it because you're all backing each other up.
Right. And that's why there's a proper procedure.
So there's no point in
There's a
me.
proper procedure for dealing with complaints against the police.
I'm not complaining. I'm reporting a crime.
So it's the same thing.
It's not the same
It
thing.
is the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Well,
You're not above the law.
right. I
Is that
agree
a
with that
taser?
entirely. No, it's the Parva spray.
You come to a peaceful protest
Right.
armed.
Right, we carry that all the time.
You come
Whenever I'm on duty,
for a
I
chat
carry
to
it.
a peaceful protest
Yeah, that's
armed.
because I carry it, and it's a matter of I accept this is a peaceful protest. I can see that.
Why are you bringing weapons here then?
Right. And well, the reason is
We
it's
don't
part
want
of
weapons
my
here.
everyday uniform. I carry it. I'm required to carry it whenever I'm on
It's your
duty.
costume.
So,
Have you ever
if you
used
like,
it?
yes,
Have you ever
yeah.
used it?
yes.
Why?
Circumstances where we're dealing with violent people, and that's what it's there for.
Well, I hope so. I hope it was
So-
lawful. But I really do doubt it with you guys.
Normally, it sits on my belt from, you know,
Get out of my garden now. Go on. Come on, pop off.
right. Anyway,
Off you pop.
genuinely, I just came over to see if you're okay. I can see you've got no problems this morning, so I shall leave you in peace.
And you don't care.
So, well, and
Leave
likewise-
us in peace.
Yeah, I'll leave you in peace.
Oh, the
anyway.
irony.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Go on, piss off.
Cheers. Then.